How much does weight really matter when talking about adventure bikes? No matter what you do, it'll never be a dual sport. In my personal opinion, no adventure bike is too heavy. Rather, maybe we're just not in good enough shape to pick them up. Now, this isn't a video about fitness and actually taking care of yourself. Nobody seems to like those videos. But I have put in a lot of effort to take off around 10 kilo from my bike. So if you're interested, stick around. This video will give you a quick overview of all the weight loss I've done so far for the bike, with references to those videos that you can go check out after you finish this one. But it'll also have a few more little things that I did that don't have their own videos and are perhaps too little to need their own videos. But without further ado, let's get the wrenches out. To remove the windshield is just these 4 bolts, but if you want these rails out, as I've actually bent this one before, I had to bend it back when I fell too close to a rock and the camera wasn't rolling. Right here and here, unbolt those and it comes off. Those bolts don't hold anything, so other than avoiding rust, no reason to put them back either. I don't particularly need windshields. I've tried cutting it short. I've tried an MRA. I don't travel at high speeds often enough to care. Longtime viewers can tell you I'm quite interested in a naked touring bike. But I'll take it off and show you the next step. These were 10mm bolts, and like that, there we go. The issue is going to be these holes. So what I'm going to do, and you can actually see a little chip right here, that's where it hit when the rock bent it. Now, fun fact, it just threw the windshield off, so it's kind of like an emergency quick release. Didn't damage the screen. I'm just going to put some tape over this, Gorilla Tape for strength, and then that reflective black tape I've got scattered all over the bike is why not. And it should be watertight enough and not fill the inside with rain, risking any electronics getting plugged up. And I'm going to use some acetone just to make sure this is clean enough. Is it beautiful? Who's to say? But tape is very light and it's weather resistant enough. I'm doing this a month at least before you actually see this video, so if it's holding up, I'll post the video. So the fact that the video is up means it's been fine for at least a month and more than 1,000 kilometers. Is it beautiful? Is it wonderful? I don't know about that, but the point of view of the rider is a bit nicer. The wind flow, even in the winter, I prefer it. But I'll move on to the next few steps. Removing the rack is as simple as these 4 bolts. The rack is just over 3 kilo, and that is what smashed my leg.
Oh, there's my leg. Yeah, I'm trapped.
As far as the benefits for the rack, I'm going to try to just carefully pick it up by grabbing this plastic next time and pushing it backwards by leaning into the seat instead of this, and hopefully that'll be enough. The weight savings is actually noticeable because I've done it before. I'm going to go back to just Gorilla Tape on all these, pretend I can save it from rust, and then I'm going to mount the box to the seat. I'm going to just show you a few steps with that in the finished product. I've done it in this video and in this video. The MT video is the slightly more universal detailed one, so you can go watch that if you want a how-to, but this time I'll just do 1 bolt, 1, 2. This does not weigh much more than a bag, and it's way more convenient. Just pop in and out. It's been completely waterproof so far, and I like my stickers and reflective. The little bit I would save with a bag, I'm not losing that much sleep over it. I'm keeping some amount of convenience and preference. So if this was a road-only bike, I'd probably mount it right about here, maybe here. That is the spot that would be just close enough to my back to keep the weight forward. But because I do have to stand up and lean back sometimes, right about there is smart. So the end of the seat is the middle. There's a little bit of a stick out there, but it keeps the weight just far enough forward. So I'll put a piece of tape right here so I know it, and then I'll start drilling holes. I will drill where's best in the seat and then do the box. And if I regret this, because longtime viewers know that I've been toying with the idea of switching this for a dual sport, a seat cover or the low seat are all less than 200 bucks. But I'll get to taping and drilling. Here's a puddle of tools and drills, and here is mounted. I now like the handle because it's a handle for the seat. The cable is still going to work for charging things in the box. I'm going to show you what it looks like underneath. So I did go with 4 bolts, that little extra stability because it's a flexible box. Whatever the weight limit on the rack is, it's now much less, but I don't come anywhere near it. It's this stuff plus a water bottle. I've weighed the box full. It's never gone over 4 kilo, and that's with 2 water bottles. But I'm going to use my grinder to cut these bolts. They fit as is, but I feel like I'd rather just get rid of them. It's one extra thing to worry about, and I guess it's a few extra grams saved. The only thing that it definitely needs, it obviously has a bit of shake. I bought this 9mm weather stripping, so it's 9mm thick, call it a centimeter for fun. And I double layered it here. And if you see inside, there's a second one just for stability. But now, there's not much bounce. But since the weight would be down, I'm pretty happy with it. Does it look good or bad? Comment below. I think it looks fine. I don't find adventure bikes innately beautiful. The front, not as pretty as with the windshield just because of the shape, but time will tell. And I did Gorilla Tape right down here. Pragmatism says keep the long tail for all the reasons I said, but tail tighty looks so much better, and now that the bike is this stripped down, it's like almost a shame not to put it back on. What's a little extra cleaning and no brake lights, right? I made a video about how to make this tail tighty. You can go watch that. And then I watched my friend Johannes customize his bike like this. At the efforts of just cleaning my bike a bit more often, worthwhile durability, because if this OEM fender is broken, resale's difficult. Not that I plan to sell the bike. It also creates the issue of possible road inspections. I can do a custom road inspection, but the bike is so long in the Japanese road inspection, so without just sticking something that long on the back, which maybe is legal, but just in case, I want to make a better tail tighty. Two problems is the warranty issue with the quick shifter. I'm waiting to get sorted, and then I found some issues with the dash that may be warranty concerns. Until it's all sorted out, no need to make a custom kit that's drilling holes in my bike and encouraging Honda to discriminate against my claims. I don't have upper crash bars, so you could say lower only, which has been largely trouble-free, very small scratches. And the other thing, you can go back and watch, but this muffler is saving me nearly 2 kilos. I like the sound with the baffle in. When I take the baffle out, it's just a beast and I need earplugs. It's taken a lot of good beatings. Soon I will have something to replace that. That'll be lighter. This is a replacement for the bracket. I've already removed the bracket on the other side, but it holds the exhaust. So this is just a lighter exhaust hanger. It is very light. It's 4mm thick aluminum. If you want a bit of irony, this is after the crash I had on December 22nd. This arrived on December 21st, but to the wrong address, so I had to pay to get it shipped here. Could have saved a bit here, but oh well. I will link this in the description from a different seller because a different seller might get the right address. The weight in the hand is stunningly different. Like, this has to be less than 1/5 the weight. This isn't sponsored beyond saying Loctite is always smart. I go for the blue Loctite that's in the red bottle because you can still get it off, and sometimes you need passenger pegs. Finger tight just to get this lined up. It's not a lock nut and there's no washer inside. That's because these will grip against the plate when you tighten it. That's it for this side. I'm not about to say that this is strong enough to hold up in a million crashes. In fact, I can flex it right there. The nice thing is it's aluminum. So if it does flex too much in a drop, just take your arm and pull it back out. Not with a hot exhaust, but you know, it bends in, it bends out. It was $20. On this side, you have this blanking plate. It weighs so little that I don't even know if I have a scale that can measure it. But I don't understand what it does besides just being there. So I'm not going to use it. I still don't want rust in here. I'm just going to put these with a touch of Loctite, put the bolts in as is, just so the inside doesn't rust, so they're still usable threads in the future. The front one's a little sticky. I don't know if it's from the Loctite from Honda, but it was harder to take off too. These ones aren't holding anything, so just tight enough not to fall out, and then let the Loctite work. It's very cold right now. It's 3 degrees outside, so Loctite will take a while. But since I don't have new gear after the crash, I won't be riding this for at least a week. Oh, and by the way, I have a tripod now, so that should help with things. I'm starting to think my bike looks pretty good. I know it's going to be polarizing, like the no windshield and everything I've done, but I've never been one to think adventure bikes look good. I just tripped on a speed bump, parking bump or whatever. But I've never been one to think adventure bikes look very good. Kind of thinking it does. Motos, for all the good and the bad, it does make my bike look cooler than I am. I am starting to think this is an ideal bike for me, and I'm becoming quite happy with it. But on to the next update. Okay, so this weight loss video has been going on for over a month now. So in that time, I got new stickers. And having the box on the seat here, I have gone off-road about 200 kilometers total. If you're keeping this as a road bike that does a bit of dirt routing, this is great. Like I've done on all my other bikes, the weight disappears having it there. Hitting big bumps, I just so slightly feel this on my backside, and I can't put my weight far enough back to get better control off-road. Pushing your weight back lightens up the front wheel and gives you more rear braking power. I'm going to take this off and I'm going to make a rack that is going to be extremely light. So I've unbolted the box. As far as the box, I'm too cheap/poor to buy a new one. So I'm actually going to use a bit of JB Weld on all these holes because I'll have to drill new holes yet again. As for these, this is a seat sealer that should just barely cover all the holes. And the actual size is just barely perfect. Polypropylene, because it's very durable. It has a good bit of flex. It's very lightweight. Yes, there's other things you can use, but cheap, lightweight, this is what I could get. I'm bolting it in place. What's the point of a handle? This is saving a little over 2 kilo on its own. I don't like backpacks. If you do, that's great for you. Ride your own ride. No one's right or wrong. It's just different and right for the right person. I'll pin a comment if I can go to a place where I can actually weigh the bike on a full tank as is with luggage. But between the luggage I've added and the crash protection, I've added just around 4 kilo of extra weight, but I've saved a little over 2 by making this. I've saved close to 1 right here. I've saved close to 2 right here. Close to 1 kilo with the foot pegs, though it's so low, who cares? I don't have upper crash bars. I still don't care about this. It's not really worth the extra weight and potential vibration. So yeah, I haven't saved weight by taking off something I never put on. I personally don't see a need for them. After crash testing the bike, I'm still happy with my decision. Hand guards are a weight added. Taking off the windscreen and the mounts, that's close to 1 kilo. And then little bits and bobs inside the fairing that I've pulled at. You could say that I've added weight by adding things like cruise control and the dongle, but you know, this isn't a race bike. I still want to be convenient. Yes, I could save weight by taking off the quick shifter. Again, I like the quick shifter. You could take off the seat and put a hyper thin foam pad on a piece of fiberglass like a MotoGP bike, but I want to spend 10-hour days on this bike. And of course, no luggage would save another 3 kilo. My luggage has a first aid kit and rain gear, so that's not really an option. Tools, I gotta make it home. I could save weight on lighter tires, which eventually I plan to. I saved weight by taking out the tubes. The tubes weighed in around 2 kilo, and that's rotating mass. It hasn't been very expensive. All the weight loss, most of it's been free, just pulling things off. There will be a video specific for this, so that's up now or will be up soon. You can check that out for specifics. But in total, I've spent like $130 to get this much weight off, and it's all functional for the most part. I don't really have any more money. I'm expecting a kid in a few months. If I did have more money, there's the lithium battery that I can do. That would save weight, save it up high. Most of the weight savings is above the seat, so it's the most important weight to save. Like if you take off 2 kilo down there, you'll never know, versus if you have a super heavy skid plate, you'll never know. Taking off weight up here, you will know. Dropping it on your leg shouldn't hit anymore. If I have a real amount of money, if you're interested in this going on, you know, like, subscribe, share, check out my Patreon if you want to help out. But I can actually get rid of the tank, make my own tank out of fiberglass or something that'll be significantly lighter on its own, and I can make it sit a little lower in the frame, possibly come out along the side and lower the center of gravity, which isn't necessarily a weight loss. Putting the weight lower is a big deal. If you ride this back to back with a tenere stock, this is 2 kilo heavier because you get a free rack that's 3-something kilo, but it doesn't feel heavier. The tenere feels closer to an Africa Twin in weight, whereas the KTM, which is 10 more kilo than a tenere, feels lighter than this. It feels dramatically lighter because of the tanks. A GS is heavier than an Africa Twin, doesn't feel like it because of the way the engine is. Because I like naked bikes, I looked at everything that goes into setting up this fairing. I understand the benefits of a fairing, but I could remove the fairing, make my own hyper light fairing that just holds the dash light, and it's a little over 10 kilo, everything that goes into the fairing. I can make something in under 2. So, you know, I figure I can easily take 10 more kilo off of what it is, get close to 190, but that's kind of a financial thing. And one risk to all of that is if you take so much weight off the front, there's only so much weight I can take off the back. If I can figure out how to protect the electronics from splashes and whatnots, I can take off all these plastic, the rear light, and do a micro light back there. I'd have to figure out what I'm doing with this. Maybe I can mount all the lights to the box. But if you take too much weight off the front, you really want a slightly forward bias weight to keep traction on the front wheel and to make the rear slide around a bit better off-road. If I take 10 off the front and nothing off the rear, even though I've already taken quite a bit off the rear, that's actually pretty bad for the bike's handling. So there's a lot of pros and cons, a lot to think about. But again, if you enjoyed this, you know what to do. I will see you next time with Dragonite Moto JP.